Entrepreneur life requires risk, persistence, and a slightly unreasonable belief that this thing you're building is going to work.
And let's not forget, copious amounts of caffeine.
Yes, that too.
Hey guys, I'm Allison, the Caffeinated Entrepreneur, an AI-powered business strategist and systems builder with an energy level that should probably come with a warning label.
And I'm Bernie, the man behind the mustache. I'm a virtual events producer who makes sure the tech works, the delivery is clean, and nobody panics, including Allison.
Each week, we are picking up the conversation where my weekly newsletter leaves off. No teaching, no pretending we have it all figured out.
Just two entrepreneurs talking honestly about the highs and lows of growing our own businesses.
And why some ideas are worth sipping on a little bit longer. Welcome to the Caffeinated Entrepreneur. Let's go behind the brew. Hey guys, grab your favorite caffeinated beverage and join us for today's episode where we're going behind the brew of issue number 20, the real reason your audience isn't buying. Hint, it's because you haven't asked. Bernie, we are just going to address the cow in the room. Hold up your mug today. Bernie has a fantastic mug with a long horn on it. And I love that mug and I want a mug like it. And guess what, friends? I don't have a mug today. My coffee maker is on strike. It is refusing to make me coffee, and I'm stuck with a water bottle today. And I just feel horrible.
It's a shame. You should not have to work this way, Allison.
Seriously, I can't work under these conditions. How do you record an episode of Behind the Brew
with no coffee?
Without a brew?
It doesn't. Yeah, It doesn't. I will say though, if you do want one of these mugs, they are amazing. You can go to the stockyards. It's not far from you.
I know. I've been to the stockyards. Yeah. I'm going to have to go back. Yeah. I'm going back this summer. I've got visitors coming this summer. I'm sure we'll be back to the stockyards this summer. Sure. So, okay, total side note. We were at Michael's over the weekend. Always a side note with me. We were at Michael's over the weekend and I was buying yarn for my latest crochet project. And my daughter was with me and I was like, I'll just buy you something on clearance. You came with mommy for a ride. You get to buy something, right? We bought her a paint by number, and it's a giant painting of a cow with flowers on it. It's so cool.
Nice.
Right?
Very cool.
We're totally embracing the whole Texas thing.
As you should. It's your home.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So, okay, let's get into the episode today because I don't want to talk about coffee anymore since I don't have any. All right, friends. So the backstory of this issue of the newsletter is actually a really funny story. Y'all know I wear fake eyelashes. It's like part of my branding. And I lost an eyelash during a networking call. It fell off. I went and left a review on the website of the company's, their lash company. I'm not going to say the name, but I went and left a review and the actual owner of the company read the review, reached out to me, had a conversation with me about what happened. Turns out it was user error. I wasn't allowing my magnetic liner to dry all the way, right? So fix the problem. Now I'm a super loyal customer. I'm constantly talking about my lashes. I buy new lashes every 3 months, like all the things. So that issue was all about the importance of asking your current or past clients or future clients questions so that you can understand what they're struggling with, so you can solve their problems, they buy from you, et cetera, et cetera. Not the direction we are going today. Because Bernie in the pre-show had some very big news that he shared with me. And so we're going to take his little fun, exciting story and we're going to run with it all about market research. So Bernie, tell the people.
Tell the people all the things. I do have to first say, though, it usually is user error, though, Allison. I mean, in anything, like it's usually, did you turn it off and turn it back on yet? Like that's unfortunately, you got it.
For real.
Like it's the basic troubleshooting. It's usually you didn't do the thing.
Just rub it in some more. You're really on fire today with just.
So sorry. I don't mean to.
I'll just, you know what? There'll be a solo episode. I'm just going to cut you out.
This week, you will not see Bernie. He's out. So my big news, Allison, is that I'm going to be starting a car rental company. As many of you listeners know, and you obviously know, Allison, I have been driving Uber on the side for a few years to supplement income. Well, one day, I picked up a young man. I don't remember his name at this point, but he was on the phone and he was talking business with whomever that he was speaking with about a car that he was supposed to be picking up. So we got off the phone and we got to chatting, and he had shared with me that he was renting cars. That was his job. He rented cars out for a living, and they were his cars. And so, we chatted a little bit about it. And he shared with me that he was making $25,000 a month renting out his fleet of
Crazy.
25 cars. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So this guy's he's actually onto something. And like, I'll be honest with you, to paint the picture, he did not look like the most educated individual, right? Like, he just, you understand.
Call
But
a
he
spade a
figured it
spade here.
out. He figured it out. My man was making $250,000 a year just renting out, flipping out cars. And so I'm out here driving Uber and thinking to myself, I'm spending 8, 10, 12 hours in the car sometimes to make a few $100. Cool. Right? I can do that. But there's got to be a way that I can not be in the car and still be making money.
Mhm.
Maybe this is it. So I started looking into Turo a little bit and decided to put a car out there to do that market research a little bit. Like, see, is there demand for this in the area that I'm in?
Yep.
So I've been renting out our Kia. It's a Kia Telluride 2021. And we have consistently rented it out almost 2 weeks a month since December. It has
Mhm.
consistently generated between $600 and $800 a month or so. We do have a car payment on it, but it's basically paying for itself at this point. And again, I just
Mhm.
kind of wanted to test it. But it's super exciting because there is now another revenue stream potential that I don't have to actually be actively doing anything with. It's
Right.
right.
Well, marketing, yes, but
Right.
not even maybe because Turo does the
It's built
marketing
in,
for you.
right? It's built in. Like Uber, they have
Yes.
the app, right? And people, when they're ready for a ride, they click the button and they order the ride. Turo's the same thing. They know they need to rent a car. They go in, they say, I want this kind of car. They click the button, they reserve it. They come and pick it up from the house or a pickup location, bring it back whenever
So
the
you're
end
not
of it.
even doing marketing for
I don't
yourself
have to
at
do
all.
anything. No, I really don't have to do anything. I could be doing some, and I will, because as I shared with you, the name of my rental company is Mustache Motors. So
Yes.
how can I not do some marketing with that? Um, but yeah, like it really it has a built-in market already. And
Yeah.
and so far, just the demand in and of itself, what we've rented is telling me that there is opportunity there. Right now it's an SUV, but if I go out and I buy a Chevy Malibu, there could be more demand for that. And they have some of those statistics in the back end in the host section of Turo. So I'm starting to dig into that to figure out, okay, well, like what it will be the next car. And I'm starting to think that way too. Like, it's not what if, it's there is going to be a next car because this thing is already
Right.
starting to make some money. So it's really cool. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is. And so that's just it. Like you did the initial market research was purely is there
Hmm.
demand for this service? And now the next set of market research has to be in order to scale it,
Hmm.
how do you do it smart? And that would definitely be like what type of
Yep.
vehicle makes the most sense. So, okay, so here's like, because here I am with the questions. So, like, if you're trying to choose a car that people want, but then you also have to consider the fact that you're in the Northeast and there's snow. Like, do you buy a car that's going to be a really hot rental in the warmer months, but then essentially can't be on the road in bad weather? Or do you rent something that that everyone can use all the time? Like, how do you decide based on market research? Do they provide that for you, or are you gambling?
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely a lot of data. I mean, obviously, when you're talking about at this point in app, like every click is tracked. They know how much is being made on every car and every mile. So they have all that data. It's just a matter of mining into it, right? And asking the questions: which car is rented the most? Which one has the highest per day rental fee? There's
Right.
specialty
In
cars.
your
Yeah, in
area.
my area, exactly, right.
Yeah.
And there's specialty cars on there. Like there's so much. Like if you have a 1964 Chevy, Camaro. You could rent it out in theory on there, and there's market data on there that tells you what you should price that car at to be able to maximize your rental opportunity. Like it's pretty in
So
depth. It's good.
they've done the
They've
market
already
research
it's all there.
for you.
Yeah, it's all there.
Fan freaking
Yeah,
tastic. All right.
yeah,
So of course now we have to generalize this, right? Because like not all of us are going out
yeah.
to
No.
though Joel might not. I'm gonna mention this to my husband. He's be like, guess what we're doing? Because let me just tell you, if that man could have 5 trucks in our driveway right now, he would. But our driveway only fits 2 cars right now because we're renting. But if we have our own house someday, ugh, someday,
Yeah.
right? But anyway, So, okay. So let's broaden the horizons to market research in general. Thinking about anybody starting a new business venture, right? Or the idea that they want to have a new offer. They want it, right? Let's just talk about market research and the value and why it's important. And maybe, I don't know, for me, it's so much easier to think of times where I've screwed this up and not done market research than
Yeah,
to think of a time that I knocked it out of a park.
right.
So, like in your experience with your current business with Insignia Training Partners, like what kind of market research were you doing or lack thereof that was preventing things? I don't know, like whether it's a success or a failure story.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's definitely going to be a lot more failure stories between us than there are success stories, and one we share very, very recently. But I think that one, just having a voice of your customer is great data in and of
Mm-hmm.
itself, right? So you want to take a look at your past wins, right? Any testimonials or recommendations that your clients had given to you, so that way you're talking
Yeah.
about the right things, of course. Surveys are a fantastic way of gathering the data that you need as well. But they also have to be intentional, right? You have to make sure that you're asking pointed questions to get the data that you want. And oftentimes that is not sentiment, right? Like, how did you feel about this
Right.
thing? It is, a very specific answer that you're looking for. How did I help you? Right? What were the facts?
Yeah.
I think those things are super important. Um, Beyond that, I don't know that I have a great answer aside from, just making sure that you are speaking with your customer, your actual customer, your satisfied customers, as well as the ones that are frankly pissed off at you. If you can get data from your customer after they have left you or as they are leaving you about why,
Yeah.
that's super important information.
Yeah. As long as you do something with
As
it.
long as you
Absolutely.
exactly. Well, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. So
it's true of
I,
any data, right? Like if you don't do anything with it,
I
there's no
it's
value.
true. Good or bad feedback matters not if
Right.
you do nothing with it. So I have two stories. One of them was like accidental market research, and you were a part of this, right? It was that when I was running my online business management services, and then I was like, I'm constantly just dropping all this information about how to use AI in a coffee chat and in our networking calls. And then I was like, I don't know, maybe people want to learn about this. And then I had you help me with my very first event and people went nuts. And even though I didn't sign a single client coming out of that webinar, I remember at the end of it, you were like, Allison, they were so engaged. The chat was blowing up like, oh my gosh. And it was the beginning of what ended up being my entire business now. And that happened again when I transitioned to Notion. And I just started saying the word Notion. I'm doing this in Notion. I'm building this in Notion. I've moved over to Notion. And people, I keep saying this, but it's true. It's like they started salivating. They were like, I use Notion and I hated it. Why do you love it? Tell me more. Or I've never heard of Notion. You love it. Tell me more. Or like, I don't know how to use it. Tell me more. It was one of those things. So this is a totally weird analogy, but who is the absolutely horrific radio show host with the long hair
Oh,
and he
Howard
wears the
Stern.
glasses? Howard Stern.
Yeah.
Howard Stern. Okay. I'm not proud of the fact that I saw the Howard Stern movie years ago. But in the Howard Stern movie, he's one of the stations that he's on early in his career. They can't fire him. They hate him. The producer hates him, but he can't fire him because he's getting listeners. People are listening. And they did market research on him. And the market research was people who loved him listened for 2 hours plus because they couldn't wait to hear what he was going to say next. People that hated him listened for 3 hours or more because they couldn't stand to hear what he was going to say next. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was the same thing, right? The market research proved that he was getting results, whether people loved or hated him. And I'm finding that's the same way about Notion. It doesn't matter if people love Notion or hate Notion. I say it and they immediately lean in and they're like, tell me why you love it.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, no problem. And
Yeah.
then here
Love
I
me.
am sharing, right? I'm just sharing screen and showing people stuff. And they're like, oh, I want to work with you. And I'm like, we can make that happen, friend. We can make that happen. So there's that
Yeah.
story, right? There's that. So that's like, it's been accidental market research. I don't know if that counts or not. But here's the other one that very much counts. And oh my gosh, has it turned into something huge? So, you know, our friend Oliver Catt, who runs one of the chapters in the Success Champion Networks. I was on a coffee chat with him a couple months ago, and he has a travel advisory community, not a Facebook group, a community, right? Where he helps travel advisors, him and his wife help travel advisors be better travel advisors. I don't even know exactly what they do in there. I'm not going to lie. But he's like, oh, you should come in and teach AI to my community. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Oliver, I don't know anything about travel. I literally, is that a cat in the background?
Yes.
Ah, you seem thrilled by that, by the way.
Well, I'm annoyed for a couple of reasons. One, we're in a podcast, but two, she's touching my Iron Man stuff. It drives me bonkers.
This is real life. Last week I had to pause because we had someone knock on my door trying to sell me security cameras. This week we have a cat in the background. Very, very cute. I'm just going to keep staring at the cat now. Anyway, Oliver wants me to teach AI to his travel advisory group. And I'm like, dude, I literally traveled in an RV for 2.5 years, and my job was to make sure there were snacks in the truck. Like, I don't know a thing about travel. Like, just Joel did everything. And Oliver's like, you're going to be fine. So here's what I did, y'all. I went to Reddit, because if you want to know what people are saying, what they love, and more importantly, what they hate,
Unfiltered.
Reddit. Yeah. Oh my gosh. People will say it all in Reddit.
Yep. Yep.
And so, of course, I have an AI tool that I use inside of Reddit that does all of this insane market research. I took that market research, I put together a presentation, I presented to his travel advisors. He was so blown away that he then refers me to someone else. She's running a global travel summit event thing for like 3,000 people. And he introduces us and it's like, Allison should be like one of your speakers, be a part of this. Now I'm on an AI panel, AI for Travel Advisors panel in her event, all because I did market research about what the heck people who are traveling are struggling with. And then I handed that on a silver platter to the travel advisors during that event.
Absolutely.
And showed them how they could figure it out.
Absolutely. It's a whole hell of a lot easier to sell somebody something they already want than to convince them that they want what you have.
Nailed it. Another mic drop
Right
there. End the podcast.
I mean, we got another clip out of me. Dang.
We did. No, but that's so true. And I think that that's the key to market research. We so desperately want to tell people that we have the solution to their problem. And they're over here going, that's not my problem. Or, yeah, that's my problem, but it's not what I care about most. And if we would just take the time and learn what it is that they actually want, you know, selling is no longer selling, because now you're echoing back to them what they're saying and thinking and feeling.
You are filling their expressed need at that point. You're not selling. They are literally telling you what they want, how to solve their problem, and then you hand it to them on a silver platter, right? Like
right.
that.
And then you're just like,
there's no
and I'm the solution. And it's when people, that's when their wallet is open and their credit card is already out and you're like, go, go, go.
But that's, basically the concept of this course that Stacy and I are delivering to the association you and I worked with is how do you leverage your voice of the customer in the language that you are using to reach your new customers, right? Leveraging those recommendations, those testimonials. What are the things that people are complaining about in those social networks and groups, right? Where are they hanging out so that they can bitch about their problems? Be there, listen to what they're saying.
Yeah. And then, okay, so here's the next question. Have you ever, or do you think it's a good idea to change your offering or even create a brand new offering to meet the need of the market research? Because I think this is where entrepreneurs get themselves in a tizzy. They do the market research. They're looking for validation that their solution is the one their audience actually wants, right? Because that's what we're all really doing, let's be honest. But then they do the market research and they discover something else. And then they end up on this tangent or they end up on a spiral. And now they're offering something completely different or like three different versions of what they want to offer. And now they're getting frustrated because they're like, I can't nail down the one thing because I'm so busy plugging holes, in all these different places based on the market research.
Well, I mean, I think that there's a couple of ways that it could go, right? Like, I mean, yes, when we are doing that market research, if we have an offer, we are going to have a little bit of, I guess, validation bias, right? We're going to be looking for the data that serves the outcome that we want. But there is also a lot of value in that data that maybe contradicts what our offer is,
Mm,
right? And that may lead us to the new thing. I think it's going to be on frankly a very individual basis whether or not you go down the rabbit hole of I don't know what I wanted to say there, the rabbit hole. But like the market research should dictate what you are offering. And if the market
mm.
research is telling you that what you are offering is not resonating in the marketplace, then yeah, you absolutely should go down that rabbit hole and figure out what the offer needs to be to speak to the problems of the customer that you're trying to reach. Because if your solution doesn't actually solve the problem that they're talking about, and you can't talk about it in the way that they are talking about it, you're not going to sell a damn widget. You're not going to sell anything.
Yeah. And I think the key to this though, and I think maybe this is where people start to go wrong, is they are actually surveying the wrong people.
Mm.
They're doing market research in the wrong audience. Like, don't ask your mom what she thinks of your offer for marketing yourself with reels on Instagram if your mom isn't trying to sell or buy stuff on Instagram, right? Like, I think that that's kind of the problem. We go looking to friends and family,
Mm.
especially in the beginning,
Sure.
and because we want them to be nice and we want them to tell us that everything that we're doing is amazing. And then, but then we're not really getting the feedback that actually makes a difference. And so I think that number one, we need to not ask friends and family ever, number one. But number two, I think just in general, when you're doing market research, don't ask for feedback from the person that is not the ideal client that you're trying to sell to, because that's when your market research gets skewed and you end up going down rabbit holes that you shouldn't be going down.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely true.
All right. So let's talk about this. Has there ever been a time where you have done the market research and gotten back like brutal feedback? Like, that is not what I was expecting to hear. I can't necessarily think of a time that I've gotten brutal feedback per se, but there's definitely been times where I've gotten feedback that I was like, oh, well, that's not encouraging in the least. Thank you very much.
I don't think I've ever really gotten brutal feedback. Definitely have gotten constructive feedback, right? What I could improve, right? Where my plus deltas were and things of that nature. But I don't feel like I've ever gotten truly brutal feedback from anybody. I like to think that people were always brutally honest with me with that feedback, but I never felt like the feedback itself was that sharp. You know what I mean?
Maybe that's a better way to put it, where they're just brutally honest. So when Bernie and I were getting ready to launch this podcast in our little networking group, I dropped images of the podcast art that I had created. And at the time, friends, the original name of this podcast was just Behind the Brew, because everybody on the inside knows that I have a newsletter, The Caffeinated Entrepreneur, and this was Behind the Brew and whatever. And I dropped that in the chat. And everyone else was like, oh my gosh, it's so cute. I like the eyes, the glasses on the mug, blah, blah, blah. Both John, who is a branding guy, and Rob, who is a podcasting guy, were both like, hate it.
No.
Does not tell me anything about your podcast, what it's about. Like, but like they just dropped it, right?
Sure.
And so of course then Rob was like, Allison, just get on a freaking call with me and let's work this out. And so now the podcast is The Caffeinated Entrepreneur. And then we're going behind there. But he was like, it wasn't meant to be mean, but it
No.
was direct.
It was-
And he was doing it for my own good, for our own good as a podcast. Like, no, that's because he's like, I immediately think of alcohol. I think of bars. Going behind the brew makes me think of beer. And I was like, oh, like I don't drink beer. So that totally wasn't on my radar.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that there again is a lot of value and perspective in having those conversations with people who could be either in your target market, or they also serve your target market, right? Because that
Yeah,
is great insight. Right? Rob, as a podcast producer, he is going to have insights that you and I aren't going to have. John, same thing. As a
absolutely.
branding expert, he is going to have insights that you and I are not going to have. And so, part of market research should be talking with experts in the field to
Yeah.
better understand, and people who are working with the ideal client that you are also working with. Because again, they are going to have a certain perspective that you will never have. Like I've done over 6,000 virtual events. Most people are never going to see that number trying to do it on their own, right? Like if you do 50 a year, right? You do one a week, it would take you 100 years. Like,
Yeah. To meet that, yeah, to get to that level.
so, like being able to consult with the expert about, again, the thing that they do or the audience that they serve, if it matches yours, if it's parallel to you, that is a piece of market research that you should absolutely do.
Yeah, yeah. So talking to the ideal audience, but also to the experts who serve the audience. That's perfect. Makes perfect sense. Okay, so now I want to talk about the market research that makes us feel good versus the market research that actually turns conversations into clients, right? Because there's the people love it research, and then there's the people buy it research. And I think that when we go into market research, we're looking for one of those two things. We either want people to love what we're doing, or we want people to buy what we're selling. And I think there's two different ways you have to approach that kind of market research and those questions. Does that make sense?
Does. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sentiment is one thing, right? People can love the thing that you're doing, but if they're not actually pulling out the credit card, um, like as a business owner, does it really matter how much they care about or how much they like it? That metric is, I would say, generally vanity, right? If you're talking about sentiment, do I like it?
Yeah.
The real metric is, are they buying it? That is the one that tells you whether or not what you're doing um, actually makes sense, right? If they love it,
Yeah.
cool. But if they're not
Well,
buying it, doesn't matter.
yeah. And so I feel like the market research where people love it is great for the brand awareness
Yeah,
campaigns,
sure.
right? And I'll be honest, at what point, what level of business do you get to though, where brand awareness matters, right? Because, like, at the level that I'm at, where I'm very much still growing, very much still like, the revenue is there, but it's not consistently there
Right.
where I want it. Brand awareness is like, oh, that's great, but it doesn't pay the bills. So I'm like, someday I might want that research where it's like, I just want people to, I want to know, do people like the brand that I've built? But to your point, I want people to actually buy. And so so what kinds of questions? So to bring this in to be more specific, what's the difference in your opinion, if there is one that you have, of a question that's like, I like this versus I'll pay for that?
I feel like there is to what I said earlier, I think there is going to be a certain type of question that you ask when it's about sentiment versus would you buy the thing. I don't know
Mhm.
what that looks like though. I don't know what that.
Okay, so something that I do on Wednesdays, I attend another networking group. It's a women's networking group that we meet every Wednesday, and one of the breakout rooms that we do is we practice our pitch, and then we literally say, of what I just said, do you understand what I do? And what questions do you have? And it's purely basically, do you like my pitch? Do you like the words that I used? Do you understand them? Does it make sense? And in that moment, I'm not trying to sell to anybody, but I am trying to get feedback. And that's what I discovered I was using back in the day. I was telling people that I built custom GPTs, and I just thought everyone knew what the heck that was. And I remember very, very like sharp, intelligent woman who does WordPress websites looked at me and she's like, "What the heck is a custom GPT?" And I was like, "Oh, it's like a bot, like an AI bot." And she's like, "Oh, you should say that instead." And I've been calling them bots ever since because of that one moment. So it was like little market research about my intro and what I do for a living. And there was
Honestly,
that
I
clarity
hadn't
right there.
thought about that, but I mean, we literally do that every week, right? Like, I mean, truth is sometimes we are tuning out when when those things are being said, but that is a
Mhm.
market research in itself, right? Like if when you're saying your pitch, you're starting to watch people's eyes glaze over, maybe you need to take that feedback and say something a little bit different, right?
Well, and like that buzz, thing,
Buzzword,
that
right?
the exercise we did, the buzzword.
Yeah.
And y'all, Bernie used to call himself what, a training
I mean, I still
broker?
call myself a training broker, but not first. That's not the first thing I talk about
Not
anymore.
yeah, he used to say that in his intro every week, and he was a train and I was like, "Dude, when you say broker, I think investments and I think real estate." Like, it does not connect at all. When you say virtual events producer, even though you do 10 times more than that, but now I know what the heck you do.
Max for people, absolutely, for sure. I
And
mean,
Bernie took that advice,
I
y'all.
did. I certainly did. Like, and that is good feedback because I could have easily just kept on going with training broker and never knew. So that
Right,
like,
right, right. Or ignored the feedback, ignored the market research. So I think the big takeaway, honestly, here is that sometimes the best market research is kind of accidental market research. It's just from us sort of paying attention to how people are reacting to us and then going that way with it.
I mean, I think that is kind of the big takeaway here. It seems like a lot of the market research that you would do. I mean, there's always going to be value out of intentionally asking those questions and doing it, but sometimes the serendipitous feedback that just happens in a natural
Mhm.
interaction, um, leads you to making a big change. So if you've been guessing, posting, tweaking, overthinking, calling it strategy, consider that maybe you should stop guessing and you should start asking the questions. So if this episode hits you in the face in all of the right ways, please share it with a business friend who's been stuck in the create and hope cycle. And if you want to make this practical, not theoretical, pick one question that we talked about from today and go ask it this week to your clients. DM it, text it, put in a client check-in email, but just start asking the question.
Love it. All righty, friends. As always, thanks for hanging out. Remember, keep showing up, keep taking the next step because the caffeine is strong.
And so are you.